Okay, let's talk about a quick addition or another little more informative way to maybe get your Rslogix 500 micro starter kit downloaded. Go to rockwellautomation.customerhelp.com. This page will come up. Do the drop down at support and click on compatibility and downloads. Once you get there, go down to where it says download and said find downloads. At this point you can go to the search file and type in MICRO, and before you get through doing that you'll find that the 1763L XXX option that was given to you on the other video that I showed earlier. But if you click on that and then look for version 10, that's the free version, it will put it in a download folder over to the right hand side here. Now all you have to do at that point then is click on the downloads, and as the other gentleman in the other video suggested, you want to pick Rslogix Classic for Micrologix, Emulate, and Rslogix Micro Starter without RS Links version 8.3. Those are the three you need to click on. Go to the downloads. Once you hit the downloads box, these will all be activated, and then when you tell them download now, you'll have to sign in with your username and that you've set up. You'll have to create an account if you haven't already. Mine's there, and sign in. It'll take you to a validation page. You just accept that as long as all your profile information is right. Just accept that, and it will bring you to this page. Now, he recommended do a direct download. I recommend you do a managed download. And once you click that, I'm not going to because I've already done all this, but once you click that, what will happen is you'll see a activation or a download page coming out up here. There's a whole bunch of letters and numbers that don't really mean anything. What that is, it's downloading the download manager to your PC, and the download manager will then load everything that you need onto your downloads folder. Okay, again, I'm not going to click on it because I've already done it, but if you click on manage downloads, you'll see a folder open up down here at the bottom that will be actually loaded in your downloads. As a matter of fact, let's go now to my downloads. There's my downloads file folder, and once you do that, you will actually see at that point you'll see an RA folder. That is your Rockwell Automation folder. Double click that, you'll see all these that came in on all that information. The one you're looking for most importantly is Micrologix. Click on that. This file will not be there when you click on it. There'll just be these three. You can do a setup, but this one is a zip file, so you'll have to extract it and unzip it, and once you do, this folder will show up. This is actually your RS Links folder. This is your Microlite 8.3 folder, and it'll also load in and emulate as well. But you can click on the setup application, and it should do everything's necessary to load your Micrologix English 8.3. It's going to do all that other stuff. The problem with mine is, the reason it didn't load mine is because I already have Micrologix 500, which is the more advanced version of it, on my PC, and it's asking me if I want to do this, I'm going to have to uninstall Rslogix 500. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to tell it no. But during your installation application, you go through everything and walks you through pretty easily. You can either do it there, you can do Microlite 830 here. If you double click on that, you'll get a new zip. You'll have to unzip the Micrologix files there. There's a zip folder. It will give you other files to load as well. If I can get out of this now. And also, when you go to the RSLinks Lite, as he said, this is a pretty big file because there's a bunch of things you have to go through. If you click on that and do setup, I'll tell it yes for now. I'm going to back out of it, but here click on required steps, install Rslogix Classic. And it should be working. It's a big file, so it may take it a minute or two. I'm not sure why it's not taking it right now, but if you click on install Rslogix Classic, it should go through and kick in and start doing your download and installation of Rslogix. Oh, I know why it didn't go any further, because I got a newer version of Rslogix Classic is already installed on my computer, which came with the Rslogix 500. So I'm not going to mess with that. I've got a newer version, but if you go through those steps of installing Rslogix, that should set it up for you. Okay. All right. Now, once you get it installed, I'm going to minimize this, that, close these out. It's still trying to extract all that, and I don't need to mess with that. All right, come on. Task manager to stop that. Okay, and if you go to your main screen, you will see Micrologix starter, Micro 1100 starter. Mine comes up as Rslogix 500, as I said earlier. If you open up yours, this should be what comes up on your screen. This is the same thing you will see. Yours will look just exactly like this. It should. And if you go through this, you can see, just like in our Micrologix or our Logic Pro simulator, a lot of the same things are showing up here. You've got your user data file, your user tab, your bit tab, timers and counters, IOs, compare statements, compute math, move logic, file miscellaneous. All this looks the same, except a little bit different here, because you've got a download section over there on yours. We're going to go either to you can either go to easiest way to go is, once you go offline, we're going to start a new. Here's the thing you need to understand, different from most of these, from the Logic Pro especially. If we do a file new, we have to pick the processor that we're going to be dealing with. Now, if you're coming in, if I get this set up where you can come into the labs, the processor you're going to want to use is not the Micrologix 1100, which is what the 1100 down here, which is what the starter package is supposedly only for. These two processors right here. The thing about it is, even though you'll be writing your program as if it's going to be going to this, once you get ready to actually put your program in use onto a Micrologix 1500, you will have to rewrite this, or rewrite the very same program on the Micrologix 1500, because I do not believe that you can transfer and copy this program and move it into the 1500 software, the 500 software. But the processor that we'll be using in the classroom, or in the lab rather, will be the Micrologix 1500 LSP series, either A, B, or C. Most of the PLCs actually that are in my lab are Series B. Those of you that have been in the classroom or been in here in the labs recently know that we put down Series B for all of them unless we can look at the side of the PLC itself and find out what series it actually is. So we're going to click on B, tell it OK, and now we've got our programming software. You'll see we have our data files and all our controller information, program files, and all that is all over here to the left hand side. That wasn't something you'd see ordinarily on the Logic Pro. it would be in a different place. You had a different place, a way to reach these data files. But these show up for us here on the left-hand side. Now, if we're going to program, you have to get into the programming screen here. Let's go back over to user, and we'll put a rung in, and put another rung in. Put 2 or 3 rungs in there. And as you know, as you remember, should well remember from the Logic Pro disk, there's our examine if closed, our OTE output energize. We've got there's examine if open, and our latched output, and we'll put another examine if closed, and an unlatched output on here, just so you can see real quickly. Now some of you may prefer to type in these addresses when you start programming. I personally prefer to drag and drop. It's a lot easier in this particular software. 5000 won't let you do that. You have to really type it in or go to the data files that are different looking from these. But this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. If I want to address this to input 0, I just drag it up till it turns green, turn it loose. If I want to address this one as input 1 or input 2, you can do this. Same thing can be done with the output data file. You simply can drag it up. Now, one interesting thing you need to remember in this particular software, you can only use an output on one rung. An output energize actually can only be used on one rung. You can do 2 rungs with the latch because you have to have a latch and an unlatch, and they have to be addressed to the same port, same point. The reason, part of the big reason why you don't want to address this twice use this address twice in a program is because there's a rule in our world where if you have 2 things that happen, a set and a reset, and they both happen at the same time, reset always wins. So if I were to have another output 1 in another part of this program, or output 0, I'm sorry, in another part of this program, and this bit told it to come on, but the bit that was on the other one that was in this rung below there told it to stay off, it would not come on. The off would always win. Off would always win. Now, I'll probably bring this up again later when I start introducing you to tying the HMI to the PLC program. But one thing you want to remember about when you write your program and dealing with the real world, if you were to have a physical input 0, if you were to have a physical input push button somewhere that was addressed to input 0, and you put a push button on your HMI and addressed it to input 0 as well, what's probably going to happen is if you tried to energize this output through your input on the push button on the HMI, it would not activate unless the physical push button were activated at the same time. So that's one thing you need to watch out for is when you're doing your HMI and your PLC program together. If in fact there is a physical push button that's addressed to input 0 and wired into input 0 on the PLC, your HMI will not be able to activate this output as long as that button is there and activated in your program. Now, one way to get around that, if you wanted your push button on your HMI to activate this output, the easy thing to do would be to pull put a parallel rung here. And this is different from Logic Pro because you can actually drag that parallel rung around that instead of having to pull everything into it. But at that point, you'd want you to put a bit down here, and I would suggest that you address it to a B3 bit like that, and your HMI bit or your HMI push button in your HMI screen would be addressed to B30, not input 0. That would actually give you the ability to turn on output 0 from the push button and from the push button on your HMI. I'll get into some other stuff a little bit later, but for right now, that should get you, hopefully that will get you started with your MicroLogic 1500 starter, MicroLite, and get you to where you can get to this screen and start working in your working with your PLC program to attach or link to your HMI program.